Even though the missing boat was last sighted in an area illuminated by the glow of light, there was no trace of the missing ship or its captors.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to get into water leaks. So stay tuned because I got a process. Alright, so let's get into what water leaks are. So let's say that you had a heavy downpour, your car was outside, or even if you took your car to the car wash, ran it through there, and maybe not initially, but maybe a couple hours to the next day, you find out that your carpet's wet. So you might even notice that you're getting like a mildew smell. If it's hot outside and you happen to step inside your car, you might get a real humid feel. These are causes from a water leak. So on my car, I've had water that I've found actually pull up on my mat on both sides in the rear here. And you know, luckily it wasn't too much, but it was just enough for me to question, you know, where there's water coming in and whatnot. Sometimes you'll see water drip down from here. You know, every car is different, obviously, but I know that I have replaced both rear window regulators, and sometimes with these door panels, sometimes, you know, pulling this panel off, there's a mat back there that kind of separate the door panel from your window regulator and such. And sometimes if that's not sealed correctly, water could drip in from behind that matting that's there and drip down onto your panels here and kind of slowly drip down onto your carpet or mat. So just keep in mind, if you did any kind of repairs, such as like a door or like a window regulator, where you had to remove your door panel and, you know, remove a few things to get to it, and there was some kind of sealing on there, make sure to check that just in case, you know, there was water getting in after the repair. So starting at the top and applying water and then letting it drip down could kind of cause you to spend more time looking for this leak, because now you have water that you might think is the source of water getting in, whereas if you start from the bottom and kind of work your way up, you would know at this certain point, okay, there's water coming in from here. Whereas from up here, if you're spraying water and kind of letting it drip down the whole door, you know, when you go to open up that door, you might see water that's might just be running through the cracks, and, you know, could kind of spend more time trying to figure out if it's from here or is it coming in from here. Whereas if you start from the bottom and kind of work your way up, you would know that it's coming in at a certain point. Alright, so just after a few minutes, you can see here where it's wet, and that's where the door seal sits. And then right here it's still dry. So where I was shooting it should be good. And you can also kind of look at your door seals, you know, and looking closely here, might not be able to focus in that close, but what you'll be looking for is to see how far the water's gone in on your seal. And that sometimes even tells you where your water's coming in from, if it is a door seal or not. Alright, so right here, we've got some water on the kick plate here, but more importantly, we've got water that's building up in here. And I think what's happening is it's building up and eventually it's trickling down on this line here and ending up on my mat. Alrighty guys, so as you can see, just after a few minutes I started having water end up on my mat. But looking closely here, you can see that it was building up and eventually it was taking this path here and dripping all the way down onto my mat here. So one thing to look for is I didn't see any water running down here, so I know that it's good here, and the seals are dry. But if you look closely here, you see that there's water pooling up here, and looking even closer, I mean, you can't see it, but there is water dripping out from underneath this panel here. Yeah. So again, like I said, I did replace the window regulator in this door, and I did do it on the other side, and I might have not have pushed that matting that's behind the door down all the way. I probably didn't have a good seal. So what happens is there's a seal here for your window. Now obviously that seal isn't gonna 100% keep the water from getting inside your door, but it kind of helps, you know, keep some of it or most of it out. But what happens is water will get down in between your glass and your door, and it makes its way down the inside of your door, and then eventually it drains out. But if the seal or that matting, that foam matting that's behind your door panel is somewhat open, and usually they're open underneath, you know, because that seal that they put on there doesn't seal all the way when you go to put this door back and whatnot. Sometimes it'll leak out and end up coming in the inside of your car. Alright guys, so I went ahead and removed my door panel, and this matting is what's behind the door panel. So sometimes after you remove these, they don't always stick back, especially like down here. It gives it every possibility for water to kind of leak down and leak out from here and then drip down behind your door panel. Alright, so with the door panel off, sometimes you have to remove panels just to get a better look at where this water's running down from or coming out from. So I'm gonna go ahead and close the door back and then hit it again with water just to see exactly where it's coming out from, because I'm pretty sure it's coming out from behind here. Alright, Alright guys, so I'm going to try to show you what this looks like while I apply water to the window on the outside. There should be water coming in somewhere from here. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. Alright, and this is just with me lightly applying water to this glass. You can already see how much water is coming in. Alright. So again, all that water is coming in from behind here because there's openings like this and like this. Alright, and then there's also these holes here where your kind of where your door panel clips into, so there's also water coming out from there too as well, which these you can kind of seal up. Like this one's missing a gasket here. I don't think you can see it. So like this, you know, there's supposed to be a seal around these just for better sealing so water doesn't get through. If this is the case for you, don't worry. They do, I think your local parts store does sell like a black thick sealer that you can just roll out, and you can peel this padding off and just reseal it and then reapply, and then make sure it sticks really good so that there's no gaps in there. If not, they do sell a body sealer that I love to use. It's called Kent's Body Sealer. It's really good because you can kind of apply it to any part of the car that might have had the factory sealer that they use to bond two seams together. They might have missed a spot, so you could kind of fill that gap there. I've used it tons of times, and it does clear when it dries. It does come out clear. Alright, so a few things I want to bring up when testing for water leaks. If there is a trail of water but you're not 100% sure where it's coming from, then one of the things you can do is take like baby powder and apply it to the side that's dry, or kind of, you know, apply it to, let's say, this whole area. So you'll take baby powder, you know, might want to remove like some of the panels here and apply baby powder all the way to the side that's supposed to be dry, and then from there you'll apply your water and kind of see where the water's running and where it's getting in from, and that'll kind of help you determine where you need to be paying more attention to, less attention to figure out where your water's coming from. So you can also use towels, like paper towels and tape, to get that same effect with the baby powder, just to see, you know, where your water's trailing from and where it's coming from, to kind of help you better understand where that water leak is coming from, where's the source, and why it's going where it's going. Alright, so maybe you don't have a leak by your door, but there's other things that could be causing this leak. So other things to look out for could be your, if you have a sunroof, could be your drain tubes. Now your drain tubes, there's 4 of them. You have one in each corner of where your sunroof is, and they usually, drain down in here, and then they usually run down like your A-pillars and end up dropping out somewhere underneath your car. And the easiest way to test that is just to pour water down in this little section here and check to make sure that they're pouring out at all 4 corners. The other thing to look out for would be your sunroof seal. So you want to make sure that it's not dried up, there's no cracks in it, no tears, because that would definitely cause water to enter into your car if you have like a headliner leak or anything like that. The other possibility is that you could have water seep in somewhere behind your window track here, and what usually ends up happening is they'll get down into your headliner and end up having water leak down here or anywhere in this area. So those are things to look out for. Along with making sure that the seal is good, you also want to make sure that your adjustments here are good. So that would be making sure that they're sitting flush, making sure your sunroof is sitting flush, it's adjusted right, because what could also happen is you could have water seeping in past the seal and through the gap and causing a leak there as well. And that also goes for your doors. If you're able to adjust your doors, I know like on the Camaros you can adjust them, and that would actually increase or decrease this gap here. And for the frameless doors, those that have this frame here, like this, so it's just a glass, sometimes the adjustment on those could also cause you to have a leak within, have water seep in through the seal and kind of trickle down. I've seen that plenty of times. Possible leak that you could be experiencing would be your AC drain line. Now, I've seen plenty of cases where the passenger side, or maybe even both sides, passenger and driver side, footwells fill up with water, and you test for this leak and don't find anything until you have your AC running, or the customer states that while their AC is on, they're getting a leak. They might feel water dripping down on their feet from up underneath the dash, and sometimes that's caused by your AC drain tube. So take the time to look up to figure out where that is, but they're usually on the passenger side, or sometimes under the center behind all of this. There's a tube that when your AC is running, water is going to start to drip out from that system and ends up making its way outside the car. But if that tube for whatever reason decided to fall off and kind of get stuck inside the cab or cabin of the car, then water will definitely drip into your. So now that you've found your leak and you've fixed your leak, now it's time to take care of the things that the water has caused, like your carpets being soaked, maybe some other things that you had in there that got wet that you need to address. So if your carpet was soaked in water, you could just go ahead and pull it out, air dry it, kind of push as much water as you can out, maybe use a shop vac to get that water out. If you have mold, you might have to go ahead and replace it if there's, if you're not able to remove the mold, or if it's too far past that point where it's completely covered in mold. So once you've fixed your leak and you've got everything ready to go, don't put nothing back in your car. Okay, don't put any panels back on or none of that without doing this. You want to go ahead and test and verify to make sure that the leak is gone and made sure that there's no other leaks present. because it would suck to just put everything back together, assume that you fixed a leak, and then have another incident where water's leaking from that same spot or anywhere similar. So go ahead and test, make sure that there's no leaks. Once you've verified that there's no more leaks, then you can go ahead and reassemble, you know, any parts that you took off, and you'll be good to go. Alright, so we're going to summarize here real quick, just to kind of go over start to finish on your water leak. So you're going to want to find the general area as to where this leak is coming in from. If you have to remove any panels or anything like that to get a better visual look on that, go ahead and do so. Then you're going to spend about 30 minutes or so applying water to that certain area, and check in between to see where this water is coming from. You can go ahead and use baby powder, maybe some paper or compressed air to kind of check for these leaks. The other thing you're going to do is, once you find your leak, you're going to apply your sealer or replace your seals or make your adjustments as needed to fix this leak. And once you do, you're going to go ahead and test and verify for your leak. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe down below. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment them down below as well. That's it for today. I'm out.